Welcome, 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 welcome,
Welcome, welcome, welcome, welcome, welcome,
welcome to the Rum. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Rum. That jingle
Welcome.
never gets old. Welcome
To the Rum.
to the Rum. I'm Bryan.
He's the Rum champion. I'm the Rum runner-up, Constantine. Great to be here with you.
I mean, it still gets me every time. The Rum runner-up. We need to get you like the championship belt of like the WWF days. You know?
Yes.
And then we'll have it like spin. It'll say Rum runner-up and it'll roll around and everything like that. So everybody, thank you all so much for tuning in and listening. We have a super, super exciting episode today. A new rum brand that is launching and catching the United States by fire. And before we get to our guest, is there anything we need to chat about, Constantine? I think we just dive right in, yeah?
I know. Do you want to do a what are you drinking? If you're drinking anything? 'Cause
Oh
I'm just
my God.
drinking
I need to pour myself something.
South Pacific coffee. Come to Fiji and you can get it only here, ladies and gentlemen.
I know.
Well, I'm drinking Fiji water. Does that count?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you know what? This is going to be the first episode ever where I'm not drinking anything because I'm tethered into wired headphones to my computer.
Oh, no.
So if I move, I'll have to go away. So you know what? I'm going to be joining you in my giant canister of reverse osmosis, lovely, purified water. So none of us are drinking rum today, although it's a smidge early in the day.
Yeah, it is. It's very early here, but I know for you guys, I think it's rum drinking time for you guys in LA, isn't it? Don't you guys usually do that around midday?
Yeah, you know, Eric usually takes like 2 or 3 shots before he goes on set. He's told me.
Yeah.
Get the nerves out, huh?
Is there ever not a rum time? It's always rum time.
Ooh, we gotta
man.
coin that. Like it's either on a shirt or something like that. Always rum time. No, fantastic, guys. So Palm Republic Rum is taking the nation by storm. And we have Mr. Eric Winter on, who is a very good friend of mine, done some cool things here in LA and is helping to shift the perceptions of rum with this exciting new brand. So Eric, thank you so much for joining us today.
Guys, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on the To the Rum podcast, talking all things rum. And Bryan, as you know, this is a newer world for me being in the rum entrepreneurial space, but rum has been something that I've enjoyed for a couple decades now.
Yeah, I will say get ready for the highs and the lows, because some days everything is amazing and I'm making a difference. And then other days it's nothing I do matters. Why do I keep bashing my head against this wall? No, but we do it because we love it. And then Constantine is taking the ultimate leap and actually building a distillery and actually distilling. You're still distilling now, Constantine.
Yeah, we are. And, you know, like you said, it's all the challenges you face, whether it's the regulatory stuff, the bureaucratic things, or the power going out 3 times, which it did yesterday. So, by the way, I should say that now. If I just disappear, the power's gone out because for some reason, you know, developing country, the power just goes out on a Tuesday for whatever reason. So
Yeah,
if I disappear,
sure.
that's what happened to me.
You can't say this, but I can. You didn't grease the right palms, Constantine. So make sure to pay the proper people this time so you can stay in
Exactly.
business.
That's right.
Oh,
Goodness. So
I
Palm
mean-
Republic, I know you know a lot more about this, Bryan, because you're there. You know, you and Eric have known each other for a while, but just the name and living in the tropics like I do, you know, there's some great names, and I think it's a really fantastic brand because it gets into a lot of the people come to rum different ways, tiki or whatever, and there's always that escapism bit to it. And I think you hit that with that. But tell us how you came to that name.
You know, this was a collab with my partner. I definitely can't take a lot of credit on the name completely. My partner, Brad Parks, was a big factor in coming up with that title, that name for the brand. And listen, when he first presented it to me, I was like, I actually think it's a fantastic name to me. And it's something we like to bring together, which is join the Republic. We want people coming in, joining our journey, our brand messaging. And we are on a mission to sort of bring rum into a new, I don't want to say a new space, but a new era, if you will, we think rum is very, very due for that emergence that, you know, tequila's had now over a couple decades, where it just, you know, was garbage 25 years ago. And now it's, you know, pick your choice of premium tequilas out there. So that's sort of where we feel rum, you know, there are great, you know, premium rums out there, but just not as easy to find always in the US. And I know I kind of just went off of your question a bit, but it was sort of this messaging of we wanted to bring people into the Republic to join our mission about rum.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's all part of it, right? Is the perceptions of rum and what it is. And, Bryan, I think, has fought a lot of those battles in person on a daily basis. With, like you said, I mean, so you were class of 93 in high school, I think I saw when I was looking up.
Me? You were stalking?
Yes.
Oh, Bryan?
No, you.
Me, I'm 94.
94. Okay. Because I saw something, I was just trying to look up your bio and I saw 90. I was 93. But back in those days, I mean, that was Cuervo. Was there anything else in the tequila space? And you look at where that's come, right?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it was all slushy margaritas. You know what I mean? Yep. And it was Jose Cuervo. It wasn't skinny. Skinny margarita did not exist. Low sugar options weren't a thing. Everybody just got drunk and had terrible hangovers. To this day, it's one of the reasons why I have never jumped onto the tequila train. I like a good margarita. I do not sip on tequila. I have terrible memories of my time with Jose Cuervo. Not to talk bad about a specific brand. I just had had a rough patch.
Yeah, it was just a sign of the times back then, right?
When it's so intrinsic to people's alcohol experiences, and so back in the day when we're all growing up, it's what's cheap, what can I drink as fast as possible. And the memories there within, whether it's tequila, and especially, I mean, Eric, you and I have had these conversations. Constantine, you and I have had these conversations of people just disregarding the rum category as, oh, that's what pirates used to drink, and Captain Morgan and Coke or pina coladas, and it's way too sweet for me. So, we're it's good that all of us now, as we are maturing in life, are opening our eyes and getting our eyes opened and making a difference in the market. So it's awesome. So to take a step back though, so Eric, we didn't actually give you a proper introduction. So a lot of our listeners might know who you are from your entertainment background and you being a badass, Officer Bradford on The Rookie. But would love to just hear from you a little bit about yourself, why rum, and all of those sorts of lovely things.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, as you said, I work, I'm an actor first and foremost. I've been in entertainment for 20 plus years now. But I met my wife, who's Puerto Rican, going on 19 years. I met her and went to visit her family for the first time in Puerto Rico. And I'll never forget the moment when my now, father-in-law said, "Hey, let's sit down and let's talk. I'm going to pour you a glass of rum and we're going to shoot the shit." I mean, he didn't say it in those words exactly, but that's essentially what happened. And I'll never forget, it was an 8-year aged Bacardi 8 años, as he just said, which I'm repeating the same thing, but just in Spanish. And he sat down and said, let's have a sip of this. And I was like, oh, wow, I don't drink rum like at all. And so in my mind, I'm going, well, I guess I do now. I'm gonna have to figure it out. And I was like, as soon as I started sipping on it, I was like, damn, this is actually a really interesting, good spirit. I was not what I expected. And again, that was just like my entry level into it, because what I was used to is Captain and Coke and, Malibu and pineapple and Bacardi and a pina colada. Like that's all I knew of rum. And again, being Puerto Rican, that's their bourbon, that's their whiskey. It's embedded in who they are. So at that point, I started to go down this path of let me try different rums from different regions. Wherever I'm on vacation, I want to try something different. And got kind of hooked on that journey. And I was starting to do more. I was a vodka guy forever. Vodka on the rocks with a lime. That's all I would drink. And talk about a spirit that really doesn't have any flavor. I mean, vodka is just like alcohol. That's what it tastes like. It's a different type of spirit in that regard. And so as I was going down this sort of aged brown liquor path, I was going to bourbons, whiskeys as well, and trying different things. But rum always rang true to something that was a huge shift for me in my life, meeting my wife and all that. So I wanted to dive into the space and learn more and see if I could do something with my, public facing personality and go, I want to do rum. I don't see a lot of celebrities in this world. I think rum needs its day in court in a big way. And for me, it was never about, let me just be a personality or a face in front of the brand. I really wanted the brand to be, something that would stand on its own.
Yeah. In that celebrity spirit space, I mean, we've got, what's the one Bryan Cranston does?
He has a mezcal, Dos Hombres.
Yeah, mezcal. Yeah, there's things like that. Now, sometimes I think there may be a response from people like, oh, well, they're just, putting their face on it, like you just said, right? But you're not doing that. I mean, you're sort of jumping in. I mean, tell us about how deep are you involved in the liquid and sourcing and all of that kind of stuff?
When you make the point in the rum space, there are a handful of celebrities in it as I was diving through the category, but they are a lot of celebrities that just put their face on it. I'll be honest. Like that's what I'm seeing. They're not really involved in the day to day. They're not out there pushing the brand as hard. They are collecting a check from the brand to be an ambassador. And to me, a lot of consumers can see that, I think that's where you get someone like The Rock, who's done such a phenomenal job with Terramana. Like people believe he loves his brand and they believe every word coming out of his mouth because he speaks about it so well. You believe it's part of his lifestyle. And for me, it wasn't just the rum itself, but I'm, behind the scenes, I'm involved in everything day to day with my partner, Brad. He's the CEO and runs the company, but I just got off a giant marketing call with our marketing team. And I'm so far in on this company that of course I want to succeed like no other because to me, it's personal. It's something I care deeply about and it's a category I care about.
Oh, I love that. And the other thing too, Constantine, and just for our lovely listeners, another thing that Eric and I are very mutually passionate about, as many of our lovely listeners are, is additive free. So Eric, would love to hear from you the thought process, throughout the process to make sure that these rums really spoke for themselves, additive free, whereas, other brands, celebrity owned or endorsed otherwise, just tend to, but not always have very sweetness components to it. But you let the liquid do the talking. So tell us a bit more about that philosophy.
100%. And, it goes back to a lot of things in regard to how I am just in my lifestyle, right? Like obviously alcohol is alcohol. It's not necessarily considered it's not a health food, right? But if you're going to go off and have something that might not be a health food, have the healthiest version of it. That was like the first step for me. If I'm going to do an alcohol, I don't want to have added flavors, added colors, sweeteners. Right. It's garbage. You're adding bad things to your body. You don't know what those colors are composed of. What's being put in there. That was factor one. Number two, I think with alcohol, a lot of people don't realize, they think that, listen, alcohol itself will get you drunk, too much of it. But alcohol with additives, sugars, are going to make you more drunk, have a worse hangover. And that's what I think people don't fully understand, is that the sugar is truly what's giving you the bigger hangover. Too much of it mixed with the alcohol. So that's something to me. I was like, the cleaner you can drink, the A, you're getting more of the real product, but B, you'll have a better experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's, going back to our chat about the early 90s and all the garbage we drank back then, we had no idea that's what was probably really giving us those. I remember those hangovers was like an axe planted in your head, like that. All the crap that was put in those drinks that we were drinking and just slugging it down,
100%. Even, if you go back to just some of the early tequilas, they weren't as bad as the stuff that they were being mixed with. You know what I mean? If you were just drinking the tequila,
okay without it.
Yeah, it would have been fine. It was just like you remember that tequila as being the culprit, but it's really was all the crap that they put in it. That was the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think, and to take a quick deviation step into history, I think we're still feeling the effects of prohibition almost 100 years later, because people in general, for the most part, have really forgotten how to drink. And some would say that the 1980s and blenders, throw it in a blender and everything like that has really set us back. But even when I was growing up, a little bit after you gentlemen, when I was definitely not drinking before 21 years of age, because no one has ever done that in the history of mankind in the United States. But, for me, it was like Southern Comfort and Hawaiian Punch, or, using sweet and sour mix rather than, actually squeezing citrus juices or getting shelf stable citrus juice. So it's interesting that, again, we go back to our younger years, and I feel that there's a big enough push now across the board with people that are coming up and wanting to learn more and have a true sipping experience, whether it's you're sipping it neat or whether you want to have a craft cocktail. I think all of our palates as consumers have drastically improved just with the availability, accessibility of things. So if you're going to have a cocktail and the citrus tastes off, consumers will know, whereas maybe before it wasn't necessarily a concern or wasn't even something at top of mind because it was just sweet and sour mix in the margarita rather than lime juice and agave syrup. So it's just interesting how we have evolved. And I like to say getting a little more fancy with the pinky up.
You mentioned prohibition, Bryan. One thing we lost that I think people still don't grasp is how many brands and products that were just lost, distilleries that closed and just never to be seen or heard from again. So we're refilling that space now, I think, with things like this, with Palm Republic and other distilleries and brands that are popping up. But we're still at just a tiny fraction of what we were in terms of diversity of spirits and spirits available before Prohibition.
Yeah. And the other cool thing that I really enjoy about Palm Republic is the branding. So Eric, I know we've talked plenty about this, but the palm trees, we've talked about the name, but approaching rum in a new and invigorated way. So would love to hear just directly from the source about that.
Yeah. And that was a big part of our mission is I think, you look at most rum branding, it's heritage brands and no shade on them at all. It's like they've been around forever. They're doing something right. It's just to relate to that young, new consumer that's really on the tequila train. What makes rum stand out? What makes it hip? What makes it trendy? What's going to bring it to the forefront of these millennials and go, hey, this is for you too. You don't need to think about rum as my dad's drink. And, I give Ryan Reynolds credit for doing what he did with Aviation Gin. It's like, I never thought of gin ever as a young, drinker's drink. Sure. It was my grandpa's drink, like I didn't think about gin at all in that regard. And he nailed it. And that was a big part of our brand messaging. We really want to be out there, speaking to that young consumer, that new age drinker that is still, they're hearing all the things about tequila, but they're looking for what's hip and up and coming and different. And that was it. Not dusty bottles, not pirates, not maps. It was like, go against that. Let's make it trendy, hip, cool, and fun. And that's been behind our messaging all along. Just even on a recent brand call, it's like, where will it take you as part of our story? Where will this journey take you if you join the Republic? And like every sip takes you on a journey. And that's what I love about our rum too, is it's a blend, right? We're blended from, Jamaica, Panama, and USVI. And it speaks to my family. I'm a blended family. My wife is Puerto Rican. Our kids are blended kids. Like my journey has been all about multicultural and taking the best of these different cultures and putting them together in our children. And we see that for, the drinker, the consumer. It's like, let's take some of the best of these different components. Let's put them together and take them on a journey. Yeah.
Which I love. And the thing that, just to go back to the reinvigorating the consumers on things with the Aviation Gin, Palm Republic for rum. And of course I have to make this really dumb joke because it's been stuck in my head and I'll explode if I don't get it out. Buicks have been reinvigorated for the young people, like those dumb commercials that are, oh my God, that's a Buick. So like the same thing that we get to do now at these tasting events. Constantine, when Eric and I have teamed up and people taste the rum and go, that's rum. And I've always thought that's a Buick in the back of my head.
Wait, so I don't watch TV over here. Obviously, is Buick a thing now?
Oh, like they've spent a lot in reinvigorating the branding, because the Buick was something that
that was
our grandparents for sure. It was never something that was hip or trendy. And so it's really, I got to commend you, Eric, for Palm Republic taking the approach, because there are so many brands that still come out without naming names. It's a play on nautical, mythical sea creatures, pirates, and somewhere in between. Or the other way that people take it is making it very tiki-fied and having tiki names or tiki adjacent kind of things. So Palm Republic to me, and I know Eric, we've talked about like it's old school kind of Miami, which in and of itself can really reflect another cool time in rum's history, which we talked about a little bit, but Prohibition, it was about the only spirit that you could drink with full certainty that it wouldn't kill you, because whiskey was being cut. I'm sure rum was being cut with stuff, bathtub gin, etc. But it speaks to a really cool period in time, or even when people were leaving Miami to go to Cuba and drink daiquiris. So I just love the focus, love the branding. If you guys have not seen the bottles, you definitely have to check them out, palmrepublic.com. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah, a big message we're trying to get out is like a term that we're using now is like we're approachable luxury. If you want to be in the premium space, we were talking about, something we joked about earlier is like if you're on the dating scene, right, and then you find somebody attractive, and you're like, well, if they feel approachable, you're more inclined to take that chance to go after it. Yeah. But anything that feels a little bit, okay, this is premium, but I can't relate, whether it feels old or whether it feels out of my reach, it's not something I want to engage or shift my focus to. And we really want this to feel like, listen, it's premium, but we're approachable. We can be for you too. Just give us a shot. If you're a whiskey drinker, you're a bourbon drinker, come join and see what we're all about. And I think that's what we've experience with a lot of people. We've done blind tastings with a lot of bourbon and whiskey drinkers, and they sip on it and go, "Ooh, what is that?" And they're not quite sure. I don't think it's a bourbon or whiskey. It feels there's a little more sweetness, but what is that? And they aren't really aware that they're fully drinking a rum until we show them the bottle. They're not convinced. And I love that. Like, we want those drinkers to come over. And it's not just our rum. Obviously, there are plenty of great rums out there that can shift a whiskey or bourbon drinker if they're given the chance. But most people won't take that chance.
Yeah. If they know in advance, they won't, right? It's like what you just did. You do a blind tasting or something. I know, Bryan, you've done this a lot, or you had your video about, ones that you've tried, right? And as soon as you see the lights go on and then they realize, okay, maybe this is something we can do. And it's at this point, I think we're at the point of a rising tide lifts all boats with rum, right? So you get someone across into one, and then next thing you know, the door is open. And then, there's like Bryan's, you can see his background there with all those bottles. It just opens the whole new world of spirits up for people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's looking to find the consumers that appreciate enjoying a spirit, whatever that spirit might be, on its own first. And then if you want to throw it into cocktails, you want to add some ice. And there are plenty of folks across all the different categories. So it's really exciting when you see those eyes light up. And it really is breaking that cycle of just perpetuating rum is too sweet. It belongs in a tiki drink only. It's supposed to be pina coladas. And to shift, Eric, rum has really kind of evolved. So you've jumped in with both feet and just, we know you love rum, but when did the conversation start from being just a rum lover enjoying rums to all of a sudden, all right, we're going to start this business and we're going to really lend a helping hand to the category?
I mean, I remember clearly. It was just literally, we had dinner with some friends one night that were talking all about their tequila, and they have a tequila in the space. And I kept thinking, wow. And this was still like, there's probably been 20 more tequilas since I heard that conversation. There was already probably 100 tequilas at that point, celebrity driven. And I remember my wife and I going home, and she was like, "You need to do something in this space." And I'm like, "Tequila? I'm not going to do tequila. I don't drink it." And she's like, "Well, I mean, you like rum, and like, I'm Puerto Rican." And I was like, "Yeah, it's true, but where do I even start? Like, I don't even know what to do." Like, I was so confused. It just felt all so overwhelming. And we started reaching out to some people we knew in Puerto Rico, who have a great distillery. And we didn't know them at the time. We met them just through a relationship with my wife, and they gave us a lot of great information. And although we could not set up to do a partnership at that time, there's somebody we might like to use down the road. They inspired us to go, okay, you can do this. You can figure it out. We got involved with another lady who was helping us down the path. And that's how we met my now partner, who is also going down this path. He comes from beer and wine distribution, so he knew the alcohol space a bit. And we teamed up on sourcing the best, the juice that we really liked, and coming up with the formulation with an amazing master distiller. But it was like this long process of, I can't do this, to sure, dive in. This is what entrepreneurs do. You'll figure it out. That's kind of how it went.
Yeah. That's it. You just figure it out as you go. So to put the plan together while you're flying it,
Yeah. And it was nerve wracking. And again, I've done a lot of interviews, entrepreneurial sort of press, just talking about starting a business. Like, it doesn't have to be rum. It could be anything. It's scary.
Yeah.
Jumping into a new business, and trusting that you're going to have a product that people like and want, especially the consumer business, like super nerve wracking. Anytime somebody tastes the rum, I know it's good to me, but I'm nervous. I don't care how many awards we get. Like, it could be platinum here, double gold there. I'm still nervous when somebody else tastes it. It's kind of like me as an actor. I could do a scene and I think it went really well. I'm still nervous of what the viewer might think, because everybody's got a different opinion and different taste, and everybody wants to chime in. And it's okay. Like, you don't have to like what I do. You don't have to like what we sell, or you don't have to like what anybody sells. That's, the joy of having an opinion. But I feel confident, the more and more we've been out there, and seeing the response from people, then that edge sort of goes off. But as an entrepreneur, I don't think it ever fully goes away. You're just always evolving with the people around you.
It's so very true. And I mean, hats off to you for just jumping in. I mean, Constantine's done something similar with building his distillery. I left my tech job. And basically the closest comp for all of our lovely listeners, it's been a while since I've made some movie quotes. So Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, when he's going through the different trials and he has to take the leap of faith across the bridge that doesn't look like it's there. That is legitimately what entrepreneurialness is. And the hardest thing is to just start, and then you just let the road take you where it's supposed to go. So, and I will say, having tasted Palm Republic rum, Constantine will, I know you're coming into the States, so we'll make sure you get to have some lovely, copious amounts, but it is absolutely delicious stuff. The Jamaica on both of the silver and the aged rums really, really, really shine through and give it just such an amazing, amazing experience. So anyways, hats off to us, all of us entrepreneurs. We can give ourselves a quick pat on the back.
We deserve it. I'll take that.
So real quick there, Eric, on that journey there, so you're also working full time and you're doing this on the side. I mean, how do you manage two what seem to be fairly high pressure careers
and
almost
having,
at the same time?
And having a wife and kids at home too.
And kids,
so
yeah. Listen, it's a lie. I do a podcast with my wife as well, and we have a production company. It's just everything's constantly going, right. And by the way, every career I have, let's say all these hats I wear, none of them are guaranteed successes. Like none of them. I might be on a show right now that's working, but I've been an actor for over 20 years and not every show works. I've been told no more than I've been told yes 100 times over. Like that's just being an actor. Having a production company, same thing. We balance that. We've sold a bunch of shows. They haven't made it on air. We've sold them. They don't get made. That's also the journey of that. Having a podcast, trying to get, you guys have a podcast as well, trying to grab listeners, trying to build that up. It takes time. It takes energy. It doesn't always pay dividends right away. You have to trust it. And this is no different. So I've been able to compartmentalize each thing, work them, give as much of my time as I can while I'm in those sort of working hours. Actually, I feel like I never stop. I shouldn't say just during the working hours. I'm working all the time, but I have to put the phone down and stop and be present for my family and my kids. And especially when they're not in school, that's a big, major priority, as always has been, as far as being just a good dad. So, my family always comes first, and then I manage everything else around it. But definitely it's a juggling act.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. And
having great people around you, by the way.
Sure.
Having great people around you helps.
Yeah, but you're in, like you said, with acting, someday the phone just might stop ringing, or with, entrepreneurship, someday it just may. I mean, that's amazing. I think it's a real, speaks to your character. That plus the fact that, you still get nervous about things. People have this idea of celebrities, I think, as that sort of cut off, right? That it's what I think is important and the nose in the air and all that. But I mean, you're down to earth, just as if, sleeves rolled up, putting everything out there with everything you've got. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's a big part of, I guess, how I function and how I operate on a daily basis. Like I never even fully embrace that, people watch my show. I walk around and was like, "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Eric." And oh, I know who you are. Well, I don't assume you do. I mean, I just want to meet people, and if you know me, great. If you know the show, great. If you don't, it's fine. But it's just like with the rum. I've never heard of it. Well, okay, that's okay. You could try it, and if you like it, great. If you don't, I understand. But let me put it out there.
Yeah, and for any of our listeners, if you get a chance to taste in front of Eric, make sure to put your best poker face on to not give him any indication of one way. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Although the people that do know you, it is funny though, just seeing the folks that do know you get so nervous. So Constantine, we did this event in Van Nuys, a liquor store tasting. And so I didn't help a lot of people because I kept telling them, don't look at them in the eyes, super short answers. Do not mention anything about this. He only likes if you blink twice in his presence. And then I think that I had to pull it back and be like, no, I'm kidding. He's like the nicest, most cool human being you'll ever meet. But I just couldn't help myself because I'm a child. Well, and so all jokes aside, I mean, Eric, you had mentioned the blends. I know I had said which kind of what was blended together in these rums. And rum for me blending is intrinsic into the history. So what went into you and Brad finding the perfect balance of the components for both the silver and the age? So if you could let our listeners know what's in each of them. And was it just tasting experiences? Did you go in with a certain profile, or would love to hear?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of it just tasting experiences. We did, come up with some, we like Diplomatico. We like certain characteristics about it, but we didn't want as much of this, I don't know, call a licoricey taste, but there's something pull back on this, up that, trying to match certain components of ones we do like. Just to give an example of one, but we went through a bunch of tastings, the Panamanian, the Jamaican, and USVI. In the aged, it's all three. In the silver, it's Jamaican and USVI. Now, a lot of feedback, which is what we kind of got just even recently this weekend, people always notice the Jamaican, which is awesome, right? Because there's like a funkiness. There's a special thing about Jamaican rum. But what is also true is it's not necessarily for everybody what that is. And so with our balance, a lot of people really patted us on the back just this weekend in Miami when we were there, going, wow, I love how you balanced out the Jamaican. I love the Jamaican, but I love how you balanced it out. Like you toned some of the funkiness down by putting in the Panamanian or the USVI. So it was a lot of that. And then working with, our master distiller who used to be the master of bourbons and whiskeys at Diageo. He's no longer there at a different company now, but trusting him and his expertise. And saying, look, Brad and I both love bourbon and whiskey as well. So we want it to be obviously it's a rum, but we want it to be able to cross over into those characteristics like the aging and the sherry casks and all that stuff with the age. So that was part of our process, but it was just a lot of tasting, landing on certain ones we liked with notes. We're not experts by any means. It's just kind of like what we liked and trusting the master distiller.
No, that's awesome.
What's your go-to for? Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No,
we got a delay
go.
is back.
I know.
I was just wondering. So for you, being all the way on the other side of the world, we have that delay that we have to fight with sometimes. Excuse me, sometimes. So what's your go-to for enjoying that? I mean, for Palm Republic, neat on the rocks, just for you when you're having it.
So for me, when I'm having it, like these are I probably have these are my go-tos, right? If I'm in the mood for on the rocks, and I've always been an on the rocks drinker. I'm not I've tasted it neat when I would try everything, right? But I'm not typically a neat drinker all the time. And I say this to people, even when they come to our tastings, I go, how would you drink? Because if you're not a neat drinker, it's just not for everybody. And some people go like, ooh, okay. I like it. But they can't process it. Because if that's not how you sip anything, what's going to make you start now? So for me, I've always been a rocks drinker. So I love it on the rocks. I like our silver with a lime. I like our aged by itself. And if I'm going to have a cocktail, my 100 all day long is an old fashioned. Like I just love old fashions. And I'm changing to, trying different bitters with it, how I want to play with it. But I'll tell you a drink I just had in Miami that, holy smokes, I was so blown away by it. And I'm sure you both have had it, but an old Cuban. Have you ever had this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, they did use Prosecco, but like, what if you throw in a really fine champagne in there? And it just, mixed with, all the other stuff that goes in it too. But damn, it was good. It was so good.
Yeah. And there's so many amazing cocktails out there that many of our listeners might not even know about. I didn't know about a lot of these things. I mean, everyone kind of knows the daiquiris, the old fashions. Old Cuban, I say, is in that kind of secondary. Some people know it, some people don't. Paper planes are all also kind of in those same kind of categories. So for anybody that's looking up the recipe for an old Cuban, make sure that you let us know when you try one, because it's an absolutely delicious and refreshing cocktail.
Yeah. I was shocked. I was like, what is it? Prosecco? What? I've never even thought about Prosecco and rum.
Yeah. It's one of those things to where it kind of just clicks, or even seeing old recipes that have black tea in like rum punches, for example, or the one cocktail, just to deviate for a second, that makes no sense on paper if you think about it, is the Negroni, because you have gin, which is a very botanically very intense spirit on itself. Then you combine that with Campari, which is an aperitif, but a bitter liqueur. And then you also pair that with sweet red vermouth, which is anything but sweet in the grand scheme of things. So you have a bitter component, and botanical bitter component, and somehow it works. What I would say, though, is for any of our listeners, if you're not a gin person, the Palm Republic silver or aged would work perfectly with those same specs. All you need is an ounce of whichever Palm Republic, an ounce of Campari, an ounce of, sweet red vermouth, if you're more into the bitter cocktails. And bitter cocktails are so very underrepresented, especially
Is there
nowadays.
a name for that when you sub rum out in a Negroni?
So if you do, the whiskey name for it is Boulevardier. So we need to have a specific, we need to have a specific rum name for it. I think Kingston Negroni. I
I've
know,
heard
right?
Kingston
Naming
Negroni, but that's
competition.
just with
That's what Jamaican rum. Yeah.
with Jamaican rum. But in
I think
general, there's
Shannon
no.
coined that. No, yeah, there's
Yeah.
no rum of Olier or rum running, rumbrella. No, rumbrella needs to be like a tropical cocktail.
Mm.
I
No.
also love a good espresso martini with our rum. We
Ooh.
were doing that at the one in Miami, and it
Yeah.
was also delicious. And one of my buddies makes a great one as well.
Oh, that sounds delicious. And Eric, I mean, just a question that comes to mind is trying these new different cocktails and going, oh wow, I never knew that X existed. Also being in the production side and the business side of the rum world now, going from a consumer to now having this be a business. Any big lessons or things that have caught you off guard outside of the cocktails as well?
You mean as far as like the business side of it, like business lessons?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I say this a lot. Acting in the entertainment world probably prepared me very well, very well for this space. A, you can't take no for an answer. You have to be comfortable with rejection. And I am very comfortable being, dealing with rejection. I mean, it's never easy, but it just never gets old. It's going to happen all the time as an actor. So that was one thing. And two, it's like even when you're dealing with distributors. It's like in our world, it's like getting an agent. Like you could be with the biggest distributor on the planet, but you may never get attention and you might not get a job.
Right.
But you can be with a small agent and they'll fight like hell for you and they'll get you in the right place in the right room. And next thing you know, you're working. It's very similar with distribution. Like you can be with the biggest in the country, but they'll pay zero attention to you and may not help you. And they might, but you might have to prove yourself a little bit first. Acting is the same way. Oh, I got on a hit TV show. Now the big agent wants to talk to me. You know what I mean? But they didn't want to before.
Right.
And I find that with distributors.
Right.
I didn't understand any of that at first going in. And then as we were dealing with distributors and going through this process, I was like, oh, wow, this is a lot like my business. A lot of handshakes, a lot of, it's this old mob mentality of spirits. And it's just so weird. It's so old, the business scope of the way it's structured, right? The 3-tier system, all these things. And acting is still very similar. You got an agent, you got a manager, you got a lawyer. Do you need all these freaking people taking your money just to get a job? I guess so. Do you need all these things to sell a bottle of rum? I guess you do. It's weird. There was a lot of correlation for the two. So it kind of prepped me. Unbeknownst to me, it prepped me. Then when I got into it, I was like, Jesus, I'm back in the entertainment business.
Hey, you come full circle to go right back to where you started.
Yeah.
Yeah. People that are either producing or building a brand, what I found is there's like a path that all of us seem to go on. At first, you're like, I'll just get really good liquid. And then, then you'll think about marketing and it sort of takes care of itself, right? If you just get the good liquid in the bottle, then you learn the lesson that people will say, well, no, it's, a distillery is just a marketing company that also happens to make liquid, right? And marketing is where it's at. And it's marketing. And then the next level of knowledge of enlightenment is when you realize, oh, it's distribution. That's the real thing. You get that set and then you go back to all the others. So it's that the layers of enlightenment, I think, of being in the spirits world.
100%.
Well, shifting gears, just I think we only have maybe one or two more questions, Eric, if you'll continue to entertain us. Do you have any other go-to rums outside of Palm Republic? And if you say Palm Republic, totally get it. It's delicious stuff.
No, I mean, there's Barrito, the rum Barrito, the Puerto Rican rum I like a lot. Diplomatico, I used to get a lot in my old fashions. I do like that. Zacapa, I've always liked. It's a little on the sweeter side, but I do like Zacapa. A little lighter, a little sweeter in that scope. What others out there? Santa Teresa, I think it is right with the gold, the gold seal, like the more expensive one. I liked as well. Let's just name a few. I mean, there's so many there. I mean, I go to your house, I'm trying all these different things. So it's like, I didn't even know they existed, half the rums that he has on the shelf.
Yeah, it's a problem. And when Eric did come over, I was like, Eric, have you tried this? Have you tried that?
He's like, take this sample, take this sample. Like, I can't even drink all this.
I got to go film. I can't do any of this right now, Bryan. I totally makes sense.
One thing I will say, and this is maybe, I don't like to ever continuously, it's got to be Palm Republic, but I do think our silver stands out compared to a lot of silvers on the market. And it's something that we've learned as we've gone through, awards and we've gone through tastings and just with people. It's always the one that surprises people, because aged, there are variations throughout all the ages all the aged rums you're trying, but there's still like a similarity in a lot of the aged rums of what you're getting, because it's coming from the barrels and all that. But when you're just getting the straight rum, I do think ours has some very unique characteristics that catch a lot of people off guard. They're like, wow, I didn't know you could sip a silver rum like this. And it is one of our strong suits that we really want to tap into. It's like, let people know this is as clean as it gets. It's fantastic. And you can sip on it. You put it on the rocks. You can just add a lime if that's all you want. And you get a lot of great notes to it.
And the hardest thing to convince people of is that a white unaged rum can be drinkable as is. No one outside, because there's no real corollary in the whiskey world, right? Whiskey's all aged. There's no just, at least as far as, well, you got moonshine. I mean, I'm from Alabama, so yeah, we have moonshine.
You had to say it very much like a Southerner, Constantine. Moonshine. The Southern drawl came out.
Complete aside is my accent's mostly gone because my dad was in radio and trained it out of us, and then being in the Navy for.
I've just heard 3 words with your accent now.
And it
I didn't catch it at all until he pointed it out. Now I'm like gone, and the other one you said. Now I'm hearing it all. Yes. Your accent's still there.
Show us that doohickey, Constantine.
As soon as Bryan pointed it out, your accent's still there.
Sorry.
I hadn't heard it until now.
Oh, geez.
Well,
I declare,
declare, Mr. Beauregard.
My grandmother used to say that.
I tried to do it with, sorry to shift again, but I tried to do it when I was in Miami. This lady was at a liquor store, and I was at this chain meeting some of the people there. And she was like looking down. She's like, what are you guys, shooting here? And I have a rum. This is my rum. I go, what are you looking to buy? And she's like, I want vodka. I said, what do you drink? I said, I was a vodka guy. So I want Belvedere. I said, great, try Palm Republic. I could not convince her that the silver rum was going to be, suitable to take over her need for the Belvedere. And I said, if you want to get both, just try it. She was, people are loyal to a brand. Sure. I get it. And to a category. Yeah. That's a tough thing for someone to trust, to go, wait, I'm going to give up my vodka for a rum. No, it's not the same thing. And it's not, but like, I was a vodka drinker. There's no flavor. Like vodka is, right. You just like, there's no anything. It's like just
my God,
blah spirit, but I loved it when I drink it. So I get it why people are on it, and don't want to shift.
I can see a vodka, a blah spirit.
A blah spirit.
But the irony of all of that is
no flavor.
It's distilled and it's designed to be without flavor, but yet how many different kinds of frickin' vodkas are flavored vodkas? Lime juice, cranberry, lime, cranberry, cupcake flavored vodka. It's like that's what does get me in the rum world a little bit too, because as much as we throw some shade at, there are a lot of rums out there that, do you want to have some lime flavored rum? No, I don't want that. But vodka in particular, the irony is it's designed to be without flavor, and then people want to jam pack full of flavors. Added flavors. If you're infusing, I had a friend who he showed me a photo. I didn't get to try it, but barrel aged vodka, and I'm like, what's the point? What is the point?
It tastes like wood.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm getting some definite oak notes.
Yeah, because that's all you get.
Yeah, I mean, Am
I drinking ironic. A tree?
Oh man, I know, right? Wood juice.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, so. In the market now, Eric, we're distributed in California.
We have
Florida,
small distribution, like very small placements in California. Some key placements. We were fortunate to get the Beverly Hills Hotel, the One Hotel, some placement in 49er Stadium, Levi's, and some liquor stores here. One that Bryan, introduced us to as well in North Hollywood. But our big market's Florida. Out the gate, you have to have a presence in Florida and rum. You're in the rum capital of the U.S. You got to at least try to compete. Which I don't think we're just trying. We're going to be in there, and we are competing. We got picked up by, in our first pitch, we got picked up by Total Wines in 35 of their 42 stores or something, which was great because out the gate, they might give you 8 stores, 10 stores to try. So we got a great push there with Vintage over in Florida with Big Daddy's. And again, we have the one in Miami as well, and we're in a lot of La Trova. We were just at where I had the old Cuban for the first time on Calle Ocho. It was a lot of great on and off premise spots, in Florida, and that's our big push. That's where our sales team is and all that. But you can find us at palmrepublicrum.com. We love the DTC. We're pushing that as well. And for a lot of people, you can sell, I think it is in 46 states or something like that now, on DTC. So that's another big push.
It's super exciting. And with that, there's the white and the silver. Are there, without asking any proprietary information, what's the crystal ball look like for the brand? Is it just getting more partnerships in other key states? Is it thinking about different releases or collaborations? What's the future look like for Palm Republic?
It's both of what you talked about. Yeah, we have these two SKUs now, the Asian, the silver, and that's it. But we want to obviously expand those and make a footprint, bigger throughout the states. We want to start little fires everywhere first instead of going too big.
Yep.
But we are already looking at some one-offs and trying to branch out. Maybe we do a permanent third SKU that's strictly a Caribbean blend, or it's Puerto Rican and Dominican, specifically, or whatever. Like, we find what that's going to be. But we want to do something definitely to a nod with Puerto Rico. Give my wife's Puerto Rican and all that. We want to blend something in there. I like the idea of staying with potential blends because it's sort of where we're setting our mark out. But we might just do a complete one-off and have it just be a Puerto Rican rum. I don't know. But we definitely want to add to the SKUs, and whether they're single releases or something that stays on, we're playing with that.
Okay. The one I was secretly hoping for, Eric, was some kind of a collaboration or placement at Dodger Stadium to be, as Eric and I are very, very big Dodgers fans. And he knows my favorite Dodger of all time, Kike Hernandez.
Yeah.
But so that's just like, get Kike on the phone, be like, look, we're going to be, what's it going to take for us to be the rum sponsor of the LA Dodgers? And then showing up to all the games. So maybe someday I'm going to cross my fingers.
Someday. I would love to get us in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Constantine, I mean, we've kind of gone every other which way. Anything else we wanted to chat through?
Well, you mentioned the website, palmrepublic.com.
Palm Republic Rum.
Where can people find you?
PalmRepublicRum.com.
Yeah, and that's all our social handles. Everything's Palm Republic Rum. And again, we're on all of them. And those are the two biggest ways of finding us, either on our social channels or on the website. Obviously, like I said, in market in Florida, a little bit in California, but building and expanding and working that through.
Awesome.
I mean, I have my social handles as well, but they're all different names. So it's listing them all is a lot. Not one is consistent.
That's fair. Well, I mean, Eric, I got to say thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for the insight. Really exciting to hear about all the cool things that Palm Republic is doing. You're right out of the gate. It's fantastic. So thank you to our lovely listeners. And next podcast, next podcast, we're doing a holiday specific special with Florida Rum Society.
Special. Yeah.
Why did you say it like that? Holiday special.
Well, that's how you're supposed to say it. You said it wrong.
Okay.
Holiday special.
Okay, wait. All right. Holiday special. I went a few octaves lower just to we can harmonize that later. Tyler will do that in post for us.
Me.
Oh my God. All right. Thank you, Eric, though. Really, you're awesome. Appreciate the time.
Guys, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
Cool. All
Take care.
Thanks. See you guys. Bye.